So there's a huge problem in today's society, and it's the glorification of constantly being busy. Not even necessarily productive, but busy working harder and more, as if it was like a badge to wear with pride, leading to having a better work life balance, a recurring theme on the vision board of many ambitious women year after year. And I see it with many clients too. They keep on repeating the same cycle of working too hard because that's what they internalized as being the only way. But the thing is, it's not the amount of meetings in your calendar until it bursts that prove you're successful or got the hang of it all, or that you're a good employee doing your job well. It's more about how intuitively you choose to spend your time, energy, and resources. And you may have heard about the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, which basically means for the 20% input you give, you yield 80% output. In other words, you're being effective with the time and create outcomes that have impact and value. But that's not all we are going to talk about today. I also want to dive deeper into this social construct as to why we attach so much meaning to being busy and therefore often end up missing the bigger picture or better outcome. And this is all to do with us actually attaching our own self worth to the construct of business. So, we need to talk about why this is a problem, aka how it can hold you back from living a fulfilling and happy life, how to detach your self worth from this limiting belief. And of course, we will talk about some specific action steps you can take right after you listen to this episode and apply them to your life so you can become an effective leader who is full of energy and not depleted. This matters, honestly, more than you think, especially if you have employees or even if you're running your own business, because you always lead by example. People watch what you do and how you do it. So if you showcase, hey, I'm working overtime on weekends and I answer emails on holidays, people will see that and associate that with a leadership role. Not only is that demotivating, but it also tells them, hey, if you want to make it, you got to sacrifice all your time, work on weekends, and do all of that shit. And that's simply not sustainable, nor profitable in the long term, nor fun, nor true for anyone involved. If it's a company you're working for, your own business, or yourself, or your employees. And there are three reasons why attaching your worth to being busy is a problem. Well, number one, you might end up feeling overwhelmed all the time and experience burnout. Number two, the focus is not on the quality of your output, but on the quantity. And three, it can mess with your identity. So the first one is, I guess, is not a surprise. In fact, numbers of burnout reports keep on rising. And whilst this is like a 50-50 kind of thing, as I always say, due to workload and expectations of your employers or yourself if you have your own business, the other half stems actually from your habits and your belief system. So, how you can see that for many years, you have been trained to work your ass off to make it. Everyone around you does it that way. So, you have been conditioned to, I need to work hard. Well, I said, do agree, working hard is indeed important if it is for the right things. I don't agree with the glamorization that we attach to it, running from one meeting to the next, working through lunch and doing overtime every single day while dreaming about some time off on the weekend, only to answer just a few emails on Sunday again to get a head start on Monday is not sustainable. Not only does this impact your health and energy as you deplete more and more, it also actually affects the quality of your work, which is where we get from quantity over quality. It should be the other way around. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Positive Psychology revealed that individuals who focus on intrinsic goals, such as growth and relationships, reported higher levels of well being compared to those pursuing extrinsic goals like wealth and external validation, as well as better quality of the work. So tying your self-worth solely to the number of tasks completed may leave you feeling unfulfilled as the quality of your experiences take the back seat. And what that comes down to really is you're not more or less worthy depending on the number of ticks on your to-do list. Okay, so but how do we actually detach our worth from being busy? Well, by learning that you're worthy even when you're not busy. And that's where we got to go back to debunking the limiting beliefs, like we discussed in episode 2 when we were talking about all things imposter syndrome. which I highly recommend giving it a listen if you want to deep dive into that process. But in short, the three steps really are to recognize what exactly you're attaching your worth to, like the belief, the thoughts that are coming with it, and where it's coming from. Or in other words, create awareness. And then also to release the old belief through debunking it as untrue. And number three, to recreate a new belief system, for example, in the form of I am worthy without 30 calls a week, or I am good enough and capable without answering emails on the weekend. I am a good employee and I provide quality, high quality work without working my ass off because I work smarter than harder. The next stage would then be to truly work smarter with less attachment so you can not only enjoy what you do, but also carve out time to do more of what you love doing or to look after yourself. So, to save time and to actually get meaningful shit done versus just a lot, I want to share with you some of my favorite practices. So, this section is especially for those who always ask me, how are you so productive, Josie? Or how are you so disciplined? Whilst you still like have normal working hours, and how can you just like take time off, like, or how do you break out of the cycle, how did you get out of burnout, all those kind of things. Or one question even was like, how do you deal with like these stressful times and that overwhelm? Well, this is how. These are some of the practices I really swear by. Obviously, I am not perfect. I am a human being too. I make mistakes. I sometimes, or not necessarily mistakes, I sometimes have those setbacks and I work over time on some days because I just get into the flow of things, or it's just because I want to get something done before a deadline. And that's totally normal. And those moments are okay. It's about not having that every single day that you work 10 to 14 hours, if not more. That's what's truly not sustainable. So, here the number one tip I would always, always do. And this is literally the first step. It's a must do for me personally. You can obviously always take what you need from these episodes and apply it to your life as you feel like, whatever resonates with you. You don't need to do exactly as I do it. I want you to really take your gems, your little nuggets out of this and apply them however it suits and fits you best. Long story short, make self care a non negotiable. Literally, put yourself before the work and create actual distance before you even plan on doing something so you can make sure you are energized and ready to take something on. For me, that looks like emptying my calendar and then I plot in when I look after myself first. So that could be like working out in the morning, then having my breakfast with my boyfriend before I do any work, or no screen time right before bed, but actually journaling or scripting or reading Harry Potter. And weekends for me are always like no work time, unless again, it's a rare occasion. And I don't shy away also from muting all my notifications on any apps for days, just so I can switch off completely. I love doing like mindset resets and really take time to just go inwards. That's really like helpful and replenishing for me. Also, when I'm like on holiday, I would really try to limit any workload and not do anything at all. Maybe some stories here and there, but other than that, I really not force myself, but encourage myself to not check emails, to not respond to clients, to not post even. Like these weeks or what days that I take off, I really want to make sure I take them off and spend the time in the present moment. Because think of it from a long term perspective and build habits and structures that support you to go longer and further rather than having like short bursts and being wiped out only just to like burst again after you replenish a little bit. Like even athletes perform at the best because they rest and they look after themselves in between those training sessions, not because they constantly run themselves to death. Then another practice I always do is to not only set smart goals, but to set aim smart goals. And A here stands for acceptable. So the minimum viable outcome you want to achieve. I stands for ideal outcome, so the best case scenario, and M stands for the happy middle between the two. For example, if you were to write a book, so you might say your acceptable outcome is to write a minimum of 300 words every day. Your ideal outcome would be to write 600 to 1000 words every day, which is very ambitious unless you're really fast writer and you want to finish your first manuscript within like 3 to 4 months for like a 200-page book. The middle outcome would be something obviously in the middle or between those two. But this way, you strive at least for the acceptable outcome and you know what to do after if you want to improve that. So you always can obviously improve and build on it. And if you achieve more, then that is the cherry on top. And I found this approach highly motivating and empowering as anything below 300, one wasn't an option, but it also wasn't overwhelming. And everything higher was like a great to have. And you create like a nice sense of achievement, even if you only achieve the acceptable outcome, because that's what you still wanted to have. At least that's how it was for me. At the same time, I also found that it dilutes the perfectionism pressure a little bit because you have variable outcomes rather than this one perfect one where you write like 1000 words every day and you're already perfectly edited and you have all the grammar rules fine and it's like in the perfect format. And once you're done, your first draft is the perfect manuscript. Like that's perfectionism. That's not what we're aiming for here. We aim for efficiency and getting shit done and not perfection. Because actually, perfectionism can also be seen as a form of procrastination. But I feel like that's also something for another episode. Then the next step, once you have your goals, what I tend to do is to reverse engineer what you need to do. So whenever I set that goal or decided on a new project, I will get clear on what I want to achieve when, and then I work backwards with what I need to do. Normally, I would first like brain dump it all out, and then I sort it into actual tasks and plotted them into my timeline. For a long time, I actually just used Excel, super simple, but I invested a while ago into ClickUp, which has been super helpful. It's like an organization system. And it also helped me to be a bit more efficient because it sends me reminders of my tasks every day. I did add a link into the description box below if you want to check it out. One of my favorite features in ClickUp is the timeline because you can see all your projects like neatly like put put in order and you know exactly what you need to do when. And I love it. It helps. It not only helps me to like keep going, but it also helps me to see the like goal, like the long-term goal, as well as what I need to do this week today. And this really helps me to be super efficient and productive. Then another point would be to really make the task mean something for you, like make the goal mean something for you, but not about you, and set yourself up for success. Like, what is your why and what is your intrinsic motivation and driver of doing this? Where does it fit to into the bigger picture of what you want to achieve in your life and how you want to live it? For example, one of my childhood dreams was to write a book. And I just want to point out, it doesn't make me more or less worthy when writing it or not, but it surely made me happier. And I loved the process. So it was truly like of meaning to me and I wanted to do it. Like I really was burning to do it. But I have to say, I didn't write it until like last year. But when I started, I finished my first draft within 40 days, only due to setting myself up for success with a strong practice. This included consistent and non negotiable time blocks that I have planned in my calendar, small rituals that like help me with focus, like lighting a candle, putting headphones in, listening to beta or gamma waves, and really blocking my phone with the nice forest app so I'm like not distracted. But also having accountability structures in place, like bringing on board a group of beta readers that expect like a chapter from me every week. So what I did here was to combine my long-term dream, something I wanted to do for so long, aka strong intrinsic motivation, with a supportive structure that yields maximum output in a short amount of time. And I still had enough time to go to the gym and spend time with my loved ones whenever I wanted, obviously, except for that writing hour. Bonus tip, take notes. And this might sound too easy, or like you might be at first confused, but yes, take notes. For example, my boyfriend is often surprised by like how well I remember birthdays, but the truth is I don't remember them at all. I just noted them down and checked my calendar. And I have to admit, I still sometimes forget, but it's becoming less and less. Same goes for anything else. If you take good notes and have a good system for them so that you can always refer back to them, it will make your life a lot easier and free up space in that smart brain of yours. So, to sum it up, in this episode, we explored how we are standing in our own way of a more sustainable lifestyle due to the limiting belief that your worth is depending on being busy, like this glamorization of constantly being busy and having a busy calendar, and why this is a problem. We also explored how to detach your feelings of self worth from this construct, the realigning life choices and calendar invites, really, with what truly matters and implementing ways to work smarter, not harder, so you can yield more output for the input we bring in. That's the 80/20 rule. That's all for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, do make sure to leave a review, a like, or comment if you watch on YouTube. It really helps me out to create more content like this so you can tune in and take charge. Bye. Da-da-da, da-da-da. One more time. I don't know the other lyrics. Language, gal, language.